Star Wars Jedi 3. Today we've got a lot of exciting stuff to talk about when it comes to the third and final game in the Cal Kestis saga. This is the big one. The final chapter in Cal's journey. And trust me, there's been some huge developments and some rumors that have come around since the last time we made a video. In fact, I've actually heard things about a potential showdown that, if it's done right, it could top everything we've seen so far. We'll talk about that later on in the video. Welcome to the channel, everybody. Jimmy, your Chaos. And today, it's all about Star Wars Jedi 3. We don't know the actual name of it yet, but we're going to cover all the latest leaks, rumors, and confirmation about the game. The plot, the story, the characters, how it's actually going to end. So stick around, drop a like, make sure you're subscribed, and remember, I do read every single comment on every single video. This is a follow-up video to the one we did about a month and a half ago. First off, yes, Jedi 3 is officially happening. It's not just a fan wish, and I know a lot of you were speculating, and it's confirmed. It's confirmed by EA themselves. And shout out to all of you who commented on the last video. Like I said, I read every single one of them, and you guys are very passionate about this game being crafted and done right because you really hold Cal Kestis' story close to your heart. I appreciate that. I'm here to break down everything we can. So I guess we could say grab some blue milk or coffee if that's not too cheesy, and let's dive in. Let's start off with what we know. After months of hoping and hinting, we finally got official word that Star Wars Jedi 3 is in development at Respawn Entertainment. Of course it is, right? EA's top brass have openly named Jedi 3 as part of their upcoming slate. They confirmed that it's in the pipeline as the final installment of Cal Kestis' trilogy. There's no speculation. It's real. And there's not going to be any cliffhanger at the end of this. We're going to get closure. Even more directly, Cameron Monaghan himself, the actor behind Cal, who needs to end up on the live screen, I just want to put that out there, he let it slip at a fan panel that he's already working on the third game. He said, "We're working on the third game and we're in the process of doing it right now." And that, it is a big undertaking. He basically couldn't contain his excitement. He added he hopes they'll make something really cool for us. I mean, that's as direct as it gets, right? We're not speculating here. Cal's own actor said it's real. Now, behind the scenes, there have been some shakeups at Respawn. The original game director, Stig Asmussen, who led Fallen Order and Survivor, actually left the studio in late 2023 to pursue new adventures. I mean, that worried some people. It did, but EA assured everyone that veteran Respawn leaders are going to step up and guide the team on this project. Now, EA assurances, you can take those how you want. But in other words, the experienced people who built the first two games, they're still there. And they're going to try to make sure Cal's story gets a proper finish. So if anyone was freaking out that Stig left, I get it, but don't panic. It seems like the trilogy is in good hands and remains a top priority because Stig didn't create the whole game. He had an amazing team with him to do that, and it looks like, for the most part, they're still there. It's also worth noting, Respawn went through some company changes earlier this year. They had a couple projects that were canceled, and they did have some layoffs happen, but Star Wars Jedi 3 seemed to be spared from any cuts. EA's leadership made it very clear. This game is fully funded and full steam ahead. They do know how much everybody loves the series, and I don't think they're going to drop the ball on Cal's final chapter. In fact, they've even hinted they want to raise the bar once again with Jedi 3 in terms of the quality and the epic scale, which that's to be expected, right? Bottom line is, we're a go. And Respawn is actively developing it as I make this video with Cal's actor on board. Of course, you can't have the game without him. And the studio committed to making it a worthy finale. That alone, for me, I think I'm good. I'm satisfied. I'm at peace. We're just getting started. There's a ton to go over here. Now, let's talk about the development and the release timeline. When and how might we play this game? When will we actually get our hands on Jedi 3? If you're hoping to play the game next year, I've got bad news. It's going to be a longer wait. All signs are pointing to a release around 2027 at the earliest. And I know every time we do these videos, that sounds really far off, but trust me, we've been talking about videos that are going to come in 2030 or games, but it does make sense. Both Fallen Order was 2019 and Survivor was 2023, and they each had roughly a 4-year development cycle. Respawn, they're going to take at least that long for the third and final game. They have to get it right, and great games take time to make. Look at Rockstar. Insiders even suggested 2027 or 2028 is likely, possibly lining up with the launch of the new consoles, which would make a lot of sense if it launched right when the new consoles launched. And speaking of that, tech. Respawn is moving the series to the Unreal Engine 5 for Jedi 3. According to job listing and hints from the devs already, the first two games, they ran on the Unreal Engine 4. But UE5, I mean, that's the shiny new toy that everybody's using right now. Crazier graphics, bigger worlds, better performance if it's optimized right, and the studio is literally hiring engineers with UE5 experience to build the Jedi's team's next game. And that tells us a couple things. One, they are aiming for true next-gen visuals, possibly more open and more detailed environments. And two, the game is going to target the current high-end platforms and whatever comes next. In fact, they're actually targeting next-generation consoles and PCs for this one. By the time it releases, we will probably be at the tail end of the PS5 and the Xbox Series era, or even on the PS6 and the next Xbox launch, Xbox Prime, whatever it's going to be already. So don't be shocked at all if Jedi 3 ends up being a showcase title for the new hardware. So just picture playing Cal's Finale on a brand new, really expensive console. Now, waiting until 2027 plus it's not easy, but I think we're going to see stuff before then. Typically, big games drop a teaser or a logo a year or two ahead. Actually, usually, it's about an 18-month window from when you get that first teaser to when you build up marketing and then the game launches. There's even speculation we might get a title reveal or a teaser in early 2026. Maybe it's just a logo. Maybe it's Cal's voiceover. And once development is far enough along, then we get drip-fed proper gameplay footage. It would come later. I would say probably toward the end of 2026, closer to 2027, when they're confident that they're showing us something good. So yes, we have to have patience. We do. It's going to be a wait, but that's okay because it's worth it and it's the close of a trilogy. So I think I speak for all of us here. We want it done right. And on the bright side of that, the long dev cycle and new engine means it should be really polished. No rushing. Moving to the UE5, that could help address some of the performance issues that Survivor had at launch, and the team clearly wants to raise the bar and deliver something that blows us away technically and visually. It's the send-off. So by the time we're playing Jedi 3, it could actually feel like a truly next-gen Star Wars adventure. I mean, detailed planets, richer NPC interactions, maybe we get bigger sandbox elements, I don't know. So yeah, loosely marked, 2027. Could roll into 2028, but that's our target for now. And there's a lot to cover other than that. So let's jump into the story. Where Survivor left off, hopefully no spoiler alerts, but if there is, here's your warning, and where we could be heading. I mean, Jedi Survivor left us with a pretty hopeful yet open-ended place. Actually, you know what? Spoiler alert. If you haven't finished Survivor by the end, Cal and Merrin have made it through, let's just call it hell. They survived the Empire's attacks, they lost some really good friends, and they even took in a young child. Yeah, they have a child now. That's right. Cal and Merrin basically became adoptive parents. It's the daughter of Cal's former friend turned foe. So they fly off together, presumably to find a safe home for the makeshift family, and it's almost a happy ending, right? So where does Jedi 3 pick up? Well, probably with Cal and Merrin and possibly even a new Jedi Enclave. There's a lot of rumors out there and a few reports that say they head to Tanalorr, which is a hidden planet introduced in Survivor, and Tanalorr was presented as sort of a safe haven that was shielded from the Empire. I mean, that would make a lot of sense for Cal and crew to say, hey, let's rebuild here. Let's train the next generation of Jedi here in secret. So it makes sense to me. Inverse, which is a media outlet, suggested that Cal and Merrin might even establish a new Jedi temple that's on Tanalorr. Maybe they train new Jedis, the next generation of Jedi. I mean, that'd be pretty cool. Cal is going from being a lone Padawan on the run to a Jedi Master figure that's starting a little Jedi school of his own. I mean, that's full circle. Sounds very familiar, I know. But it also makes me wonder what kind of time jump we're going to have between Survivor and 3. But it's not all happy, right? Not all happy family time. The galaxy around them, it's getting darker. By the timeline of Survivor's end, we are roughly 9 years before A New Hope. That means the Empire is near its peak right now. The rebellion starting to simmer, and the iconic events like the Battle of Yavin, the Death Star Trench Run, all that, they're like a decade or so away, or less. Jedi 3 is going to cover those years, closing that gap. So Cal's story is probably going to intersect with the early rebellion. There's even rumors saying Cal might get drawn into the fight against the Empire openly, rather than just surviving on the edges and the fringes. So maybe we actually get to see him ally with rebel groups, or at least protect people from the Empire's spread as it ramps up. And one clue, after you beat Survivor, there is an Easter egg where a Star Destroyer appears on the planet Koba, which is the hub planet in free roam. So that hints that the Empire is on to Cal's crew. And they're not going to be able to hide forever. And could this mean we get cameos? Could this mean we get people that are around during that? Literally, the toy box is completely open on who could be in Jedi 3. So I think it's going to be pretty crazy. He's not just dealing with personal drama. He's basically in the last years of the Jedi Purge era, when the Empire is hunting down every single last Jedi and any spark of rebellion, right? But it's also where the spark of the rebellion is about to erupt or ignite. We could see Cal and Merrin on missions that involve larger Star Wars lore. Maybe they sabotage Imperial projects. Maybe they help refugees. Maybe they gather allies. Perhaps they decide to fully join the Rebel Alliance. They could really fight along people in Star Wars legend that we already know. Now, character-wise, we'll probably get the familiar faces back. Merrin's definitely be by Cal's side. The relationship bloomed in Survivor, so yeah. And Grease, our favorite pilot with 4 arms, likely to be back. Going to give us that comic relief that we need. I think they're all going to come back. And little girl Kato, could be the key character. Could be the young Padawan figure that we all need to know about. But there's another interesting thread out there. We know Cal tapped into darker tendencies in Survivor's climax. Remember, he briefly used Force Lightning in that game. He struggled with anger, almost crossed the line. And if they're not there to keep his head on straight, he might find it even harder to stick strictly to the Jedi Code. I think that's going to be the central theme. I think Cal's internal battle to remain true to the light while confronting the evil is going to be what we're focusing on. I know, dark side, big time, all that, like we haven't done this before, but I think that's where we're going. They're likely going to start something good, safe haven. It's probably going to be calm, new Jedi temple in a very, very bad time. And I think the timeline edges us closer to the original trilogy, meaning that Jedi 3 is going to bump up right against all the events that we know from the movies, which to me, that's the perfect way to go with this. So, every Jedi story has to have a great villain. That's the big question. Who gets to be the ultimate antagonist of Jedi 3? The first 2 games gave us, I would say, some fantastic and tragic villains. Fallen Order had the second sister Trilla. Even a Vader cameo. Survivor, surprised us with not 1 but 2 villains in that one. We had them both, and it was a friend-turned-traitor type scenario. There's a pattern here. The villains tend to be Force users with personal connections on parallel to Cal. Trilla was a fellow former Padawan. Bode was an ally with a daughter like Cal's adopted family. So many believe that Jedi 3 is going to feature a dark Force user as the main villain, possibly another fallen Jedi or even an Imperial Inquisitor. The Empire, it's at full power right now. So an Inquisitor, those were Vader's hunting agents, would fit right into this era. In fact, there is a fan theory out there that says one of the highest ranking Inquisitors, perhaps the so-called first brother, could actually be introduced as Cal's nemesis. It's all speculation, but I think that's the way we're going. And then, of course, let's talk about Vader. Now, we know Vader is alive very well right now, active in this time period, personally hunting down Jedi. We did have Cal have his brief, terrifying encounter with Vader at the end of Fallen Order, and he barely escaped with his life. So, could Vader return in Jedi 3? Could he be the final boss? Primary villain? A lot of people want that epic Cal versus Vader showdown. It would be legendary. There's no solid evidence that will happen, and to be clear, it's one of the biggest talking points on Reddit right now. People are speculating that Cal might take on Vader in a duel, potentially even sacrificing himself in the process, because, let's face it, going toe-to-toe with Vader usually doesn't end well for Jedi, and we know Vader isn't going anywhere, so we know that Cal's not going to end up killing Vader. Maybe pulls off taking Vader's mask off, landing a big hit, but ultimately it's a one-way trip. I don't know. We'll see. It could definitely raise the stakes, but there's other people that argue the other side of that. They say the simple answer is to plug in Vader. That's the easy answer. That's not the creative answer. And you know what? You're right. Whenever you look for a place to do something easy, you plug in Vader. Plug in Vader. So maybe we don't go that route, but maybe he is somehow intertwined. But I personally don't think he is going to be the primary nemesis or villain in this. I think they're going to do a different path. Not every story has to end with the hero dying or Vader being in it. I think they introduce a brand new villain unique to this game. I really, really do. Some kind of ancient evil. Who knows? I don't even know. Maybe it was a High Republic Jedi gone bad or something like that. And I'm fairly sure Emperor Palpatine himself is probably going to remain more of a background figure. He's, of course, the big bad of the era, but I don't really see Cal fighting the Emperor. That was Luke's story. That's not his. And Vader is more likely the face of the Empire if they go that route. But alternatively, an Inquisitor, like the Grand Inquisitor or a new character, could definitely step up. Now, we talked about it earlier, Cal's internal struggle. As I mentioned, Cal, it's got some darkness in him. That could be an antagonist on its own. In Survivor, we saw him get really pissed off and vengeful. He even tapped into dark side powers momentarily in Jedi 3. I think he's going to wrestle with those even more. I think he could fall to the dark side, even if it's just briefly. Maybe the pressure of protecting his loved ones or the trauma he's endured through the first 2 games. I think he's going to have a moment of desperation. I think he's going to use forbidden techniques or even become a Vader-like figure for maybe a chapter or more in the game. Could be a playable sequence where you feel that immense power and moral conflict, and then maybe somebody brings him back. Maybe Merrin brings him back to the light. I mean, that would definitely mirror Anakin Skywalker's path, right? I mean, except hopefully Cal doesn't fully turn evil. I think it would be a redemption before the end kind of arc. So yeah, we don't know who the big bad is. I'm not really worried about it. Do I want an epic match with Vader? It would be cool, but I don't think it's a necessity or something that has to happen for this game. I really don't. I mean, ever since Cal barely survived Vader's wrath in the first game, people want a rematch, but we don't have to have one. I mean, I don't think this game has to be, I don't think it's going to be successful or not successful if Vader's not there. I do like the idea of him taking off Vader's mask or even some kind of significant causing damage to his armor or something symbolic before he actually dies. I'll tell you right now, if Vader kills Cal in this, people are just their minds are gonna blow up. I don't know. That's the whole, does Cal sacrifice himself? We have this trilogy, we're attached to this guy. He is a beloved character figure in Star Wars, and then he does the ultimate sacrifice and he's dead and there's nothing else coming. We know Star Wars 4 is not happening. I don't know. I mean, do you also have the dark side Cal theory? I mean, it used Force lightning. We know he's going to keep getting down that dark path. What if he went fully down that dark path? What if he pulled an Anakin? What if he ended up being some person in 4, 5, and 6 we didn't even correlate? I don't know. I know, we're getting wild here. We're getting wild. Really quick, cameos, connections, like I talked earlier about who could we actually see. We are bumping up against the New Hope. So, I mean, we could see people like Obi-Wan. We could see Yoda. I mean, Yoda's obviously in hiding on Dagobah, but somehow, I mean, imagine Cal at a low point suddenly talking with the spirit of Qui-Gon Jinn. I mean, maybe getting guidance from Yoda in a vision. That would be really cool. He could literally interact with anybody, early Rebel leaders. There's even talk about him running into younger versions of characters from Star Wars Rebels. Imagine that. What if they brought in Saw Gerrera in there? I mean, what if they brought him in again, right? I think he was in Fallen Order briefly. They could bring him in more. I mean, maybe he goes and visits Jeddah, where that was the planet in Rogue One, where Saw was actually from. There are so many things that they could do here. So I'm going to leave you with this. There's going to be lots of surprises. The devs have been pretty tight-lipped, but they love their twist. Fallen Order surprised us with Vader. Survivor surprised us with the betrayal. So we know it's going to go that way. The 2 big questions we have, is Cal going to sacrifice himself or will there be a happy ending? I mean, it's not going to be happy to a degree because the Empire ends up winning. They do. By the time this saga is over, this story, the Empire is at full peak, bumping into episode 4. So not really sure how that bodes for Cal, because if Cal stayed alive, then people would say, well, why did we see him with the rebellion? Why did we see him bump up with Luke? How come he wasn't helping when everything was actually going on there? And that kind of points toward he might not make it. And I want to end it with this. I really think that Cal should show up outside the games. We've all been thinking it. He's such a beloved character. It almost feels like a matter of time before he appears in a show or movie. And the best part is he's played by a real actor, Cameron Monaghan, who would love to see Cal into live action. So what's the likelihood? There's been so many people talking about him appearing in a Disney Plus series. There's rumors, nothing confirmed, floating that the idea that Disney was considering a Cal Kestis TV series at one point, or at least a cameo in the existing series. I think the most logical place for Cal to pop up would be in the timeline around the games. For example, the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, which had season 1 set 9 years before New Hope. That's right where Cal is, and it looks like we may be getting a season 2. Now, season 1 didn't reference Cal, but if they do season 2, Cal is alive and active right then. I think a Cal cameo in Kenobi would be amazing. Maybe Obi-Wan crosses paths with Cal in a mission or hears about a red-headed Jedi causing trouble for the Empire. That would be crazy. The tricky part, by the end of Jedi 3, who knows if he's alive or not, but I don't even think he has to be a cameo. He could be a bigger role. And then, of course, the Mandalorian Ahsoka era, which is post-Return of the Jedi. It's much later, but he could be older, in his 40s or 50s by the time of Mando, depending on how far, after Return of the Jedi we go. It's not out of the question. They could definitely have an older Cameron with makeup showing Cal as a veteran Jedi mentor, something like that. There's no direct hint, but fans want it. Trust me, this guy is Star Wars. He's Star Wars in the video game, and the real life guy is a direct correlation of the video game character. So you guys let me know, where would you like to see him pop up in the big screen? I think it's a huge miss if they don't get him in. I truly, truly do. And what do you think Cal's future is going to be in Jedi 3? Is it going to be hopeful, or are we going to be crying at the end of this story? You guys let me know. I'll keep you posted if anything new breaks, and I'll see you soon.